Today you are going to learn how I lost about 30 pounds pretty darn easily. But first, just like last week when I was filming down here, it is near freezing temperatures. So I'm gonna get a coat on and let's start a fire. So today we are going to talk about what I have done that has just basically helped my excess weight just to melt off. But first, for new viewers, welcome to my channel. Also welcome to the bug out location. And this channel is all about prepping and self-defense subjects. So please consider subscribing and also giving it the thumbs up if you like information that the mainstream media doesn't normally talk about. So the first thing I have to be really open about is that type 2 diabetes runs really strong in my family, but we'll talk more about that in just a minute. Let's first talk about what made me gain so much weight to begin with. You can see here in this video from 2023, I was pretty decent weight. I was not really what you would call overweight. But then in early 2024, me and my wife decided that we were going to start pinching pennies to see if we could pay everything off, including our house. So what we started doing was once every 2 weeks when we would get paid, we would go to the grocery store and we would buy all of our groceries for the next 2 weeks. But we were buying the cheapest of the cheap groceries so that we would, again, save as much money as we could on our grocery bill. So we were buying and eating a lot of white rice, beans, white bread, potatoes, food like that. They were dirt cheap, but they made me gain a lot of weight. Now, I didn't really notice how much weight that I had gained until Praxis Prepper came here to the bug out location to visit for the solar eclipse. But when I saw a video that we had filmed where I was next to him, now granted, Praxis is a pretty trim guy, but when I saw how much stomach I had in that video, I was like, oh my gosh, I've really gained a lot of weight. And I need to get that weight off again because type 2 diabetes runs strong in my family. So what I did was I weighed myself and saw that I had gained about 30 pounds. Plus I also got one of those continuous glucose monitors, and that thing really helped out a ton. It wasn't super accurate in its readings. It was always telling me I was 20 or 30 points higher. My blood sugar was always 20 or 30 points higher than what the regular blood glucose meter would say. But even though it was reading a bit high, it really taught me a lot about what foods I didn't think that would spike my blood sugar. It really taught me what would spike my blood sugar, and also really showed me in real time when I would take steps such as going for a walk or something like that, that it would lower the blood sugar. Now, kind of going back where we were buying the cheapest of the foods, we did save a ton of money. We were able to pay off this bug out property, and we only owe $10,000 left on our house now, and we'll have that paid off here in a couple of months. But what I didn't want was to be completely debt-free and have my property paid off and the house paid off and everything paid off, but then be on 15 different medications because the excess weight gave me all kinds of comorbidities. So as soon as I had realized that my blood sugars were too high and that I had gained all that excess weight, the first thing that I did was immediately started eating a low carbohydrate diet. Now, I wasn't necessarily doing keto, but I cut out all things like white bread, white potatoes, pasta, obviously sugary drinks, and any sweets and anything like that. Anything that is either high in sugar or turns into sugar once you eat it, I cut it out of my diet. So if this helps you out any, the way I understand this is that high carbohydrate foods such as potatoes and rice and white bread and pasta and stuff like that, but high carbohydrate foods turns into sugar pretty quickly inside of your body once you eat it. And then higher levels of sugar in your bloodstream then prompts your body to start producing insulin. And then insulin is a hormone that actually prompts your body then to start storing fat. So for years and years, we were told that if you ate fat, that fat made you fat. But from my understanding, it is sugar that actually prompts your body to start storing the fat. Basically, for me, I started thinking of it as sugar toxicity. So what was happening to me was when I was eating that really cheap food was that my body was putting extra sugar into my bloodstream, which was then causing my insulin levels to rise and my blood sugar levels to rise, and that insulin then was telling my body to store more fat. So it was really kind of a downward spiral. So again, my biggest concern was that being how type 2 runs so strong in my family. Most men in my family, by the time they were in their 40s, they were on metformin, and then by the time they were in their 50s, they were actually having to inject insulin. Now me being almost in my mid-50s, I am still able to keep my blood sugar levels in the normal range or close to the normal range purely by diet only, and let's go over that. Oh, and by the way, if you are watching this video on YouTube, you should come over to Rumble to watch my channel and your other favorite prepping channels. A lot of us are going over to Rumble because they do not censor us like YouTube does. So here's exactly what I have done that over the past 3 months, just 3 months, I have lost and melted off nearly 30 pounds. Now, I still have about 15 more pounds that I want to go, but again, about 30 pounds in 3 months. So the first thing that I did was I cut out all foods that were high in carbohydrates. White potatoes, white bread, even wheat bread, white rice, brown rice, pasta. Obviously no sugar drinks or any snack cakes or anything like that too, but if it's a food that turns into sugar fairly quickly in my body, out it went. But then what I did do was that I started eating more meat. Now, not a big, huge, I didn't go carnivore, no big, huge steaks or anything like that, but a sensible size piece of meat and then a lot more steamed vegetables. Now, there are times where I would get craving bread or I'd want a hamburger or something like that, so I learned how to make my own hamburger buns using almond flour because almonds or almonds, however you pronounce it, they are very low in carbohydrates, so I could actually eat a hamburger and in a hamburger bun, and then it wouldn't spike my blood sugar, which then wouldn't kick in the insulin and then tell my body to store fat. Now, one thing that's really important to remember is that even if you go low carb, you still have to watch your calories. I've seen other people that went low carb and they were just eating tons of food, and while maybe they did lose a little bit of weight, some of them even gained weight because, again, your body will store excess food into fat. So what you want to do is you want to eat foods that are low in carbohydrates so that it doesn't prompt your body to store fat, but then you're not wanting to put, all those extra calories in your body either. So my typical dinners could consist of either a reasonable size piece of steak or a hamburger on the hamburger bun with the low carb hamburger bun, or a salmon fillet for the healthy fats, or a tuna patty, again for the healthy fats, or baked chicken or something like that, again with a good size side of steamed vegetable. Now, I am not much of a vegetable person. I don't really care for vegetables that much, but I just knew I needed to put more of those into my body for the low calories, also for the other nutrients that they provide. So then I actually started buying salad dressings or other things like that to put on the vegetables so they would actually taste good. And one of my favorite ones to use is the Primal Kitchen cilantro lime dressing, and it actually makes the vegetables enjoyable for me. Not only does that make it taste better for me, but it also has healthy fats in it and helps me keep feeling full longer. Now, after I finished that meal, for some reason I was still hungry, then what I would do is I would eat a half a cup of cottage cheese with it, because with cottage cheese, it is high in protein. Plus that half cup only adds an extra 100 calories to your meal. So between all of that would actually keep me satiated until the next morning without putting a ton of calories into my body, without putting very many carbohydrates into my body. And again, it was good nutrients and healthy fats for me. Now, for breakfast, almost every morning, I'm very simple. For almost every morning, I will have an egg sandwich using those almond low carb hamburger buns. And with that and a side of a half a cup of cottage cheese, that will typically keep me satiated till lunch. So again, my breakfast will have healthy fats in it and not crazy in carbohydrates or crazy in calories. And again, it will keep me full and keep me feeling fine until lunch hits, and lunch is typically leftovers from the dinner that I had the night before. Now, speaking of breakfast, I have tried intermittent fasting before, and it's just it's too difficult for me to do. Even with the coffee with the MCT oils in it, when I have tried to skip a breakfast and wait till lunch to eat and to squeeze that eating window in, I get so hungry and then I can't concentrate and I don't feel good at all. So intermittent fasting has just proved to be too difficult for me, which is too bad because I hear that is one heck of a tool to use that will just really also help you to just melt the fat off your body and also get your blood sugar levels back to normal. And I kind of want to revisit that Dexcom Stelo continuous glucose monitor that I wore for several months, and that you don't have to have a prescription for that, and it costs about $100 per month to have, but the amount of information that I was able to get from that really helped me to make intelligent and informed decisions about what I was eating. It really surprised me of how many of some of these quote-unquote low carb, like low carb or carb friendly or carb smart hamburger buns or carb smart hot dog buns or those tortilla wraps and stuff like that that say they're low carb, how many of those still actually put my blood sugar above 140, because I don't like to go over 140 in my blood sugar levels. And with my way of eating, without using any medication of any kind, I am typically able to keep my blood sugar under 140, again, just by the food that I intake, because I really want to stay off medicine for as long as I can. Now, you might be thinking, man, you go low carb, you can't have stuff like pizza or donuts or anything like that again, and I actually still can enjoy food. It's just a little bit more extra work. So for instance, Friday nights are pizza night in our household. Our son is 9 years old, and so on Friday nights we still like to eat pizza and we will watch a movie together as a family. And so instead of eating the normal pizza with the normal pizza dough, I will make myself a pizza crust using actually canned chicken. And I actually think that tastes better than your normal pizza dough. So I'm actually able to eat a pizza that's very low in carbohydrates, so that it doesn't spike my blood sugar and spike insulin and cause me to store fat. It's more calories than what I really should be putting in, but that's a Friday night thing. And I've also have made donuts recently using almond flour and monk fruit as the sweetener for the glaze, and they're actually really good. I was really surprised. So with those keto donuts, while you're getting the calories, you're not getting nearly the calories that you get from a regular donut. So again, I can still enjoy food, just a little bit more extra work. But while that is extra work, it is better than the alternative, which is actually making myself a diabetic and then having to be on insulin or something like that for the rest of my life. So anyways, cutting out carbohydrate foods and then making my own bread using almond flour, doing simple steps like that has allowed me to just basically melt off 30 pounds in the past 3 months, and I am very much looking forward to losing the next 15 pounds. And just kind of a heads up, I have older videos that I had already filmed months ago that have not been released yet. They're in the queue to be released in the next upcoming week. So you'll see one video where I look thinner, and then you'll see another video where you're like, man, he looks 30 pounds heavier in that video, and that would be why. I just didn't want you guys to think I was yo-yoing with my weight every 2 weeks or so. So anyways, what are some of your healthy tips or healthy recipes? Why don't you comment down below so the whole community benefits from this video. And like I close out with every video, every prepper should know how to be able to make their own medicine using the weeds and the trees that grow around them. So to learn what 99% of the other preppers don't know, then click on the playlist that should be appearing on the screen just about now to learn that powerful knowledge. Anyways, folks, this is enough internet for me today. I actually do need to get back to work. But folks, if you made it this far, hey, thank you very much for watching. And I pray that you have a good night.